This is to show you how to repair the keypad in the Panasonic cordless phone. This one's a KX TG2235, but there are a bunch of different models that look the same as this. They have the pizza wedge shape off and talk button and stuff. So there's a bunch of models. I'll list them in the description. To fix the keypad with the membrane repair kit, all you need is a small flat screwdriver and a smaller Phillips screwdriver. And we need a cleaning rag and isopropyl alcohol. I like 91%, but if you only have 70, that's gonna work. So what we gotta do is we gotta take the phone apart to get to the keypad. And you just take the battery out. There's 2 screws down at the bottom, and there's a third one for the antenna that's the same size as this. There we go. Now, once you got those 2 screws out, the back is a little bit loose, but there are clips on the sides of the phone. What I like to do is pry it apart, you know, as much as I can without really pulling hard, and wedge my fingers in there to keep it pried open. And the flat screwdriver, we don't want to really pry with it, we just want to slide it up kind of as far as it'll go, and then just a little tweak and it'll pop right out. And again on the other side, it's on the other side, on this side it's on the other side of this headset jack cover, so it's harder to slide it up the slot, but if you can get it in there just like that, pretty easy. And yeah, there's another one there and there. However, at that point, I'm gonna put this back. Once you got that one, you can usually wiggle it and twist it and it'll pop out. You don't want to pull on this because it's got the speaker back here and you'll rip that wire right out of there. It's usually taped down. I've opened this already, so this is kind of taped down with this black tape, but I just pull the wires off the tape just to make it give you more room to move that around. Okay, now we have this antenna screw, which is the same as the back housing, so you don't have to be concerned which ones you end up using there. But there are 2 little screws here and 2 more down here, and these are significantly smaller, so you can tell the difference. They're similar design to the 3, and then these 2 on the charging pins are a different design. You might want to keep those out with the charging pin like that. Just so you don't get confused when you put it back together. If you put the wrong screw in, you can actually go right through the housing. Okay, so I've got all the screws out. This headset jack cover is probably going to fall off, so I'm just going to pick that off. And at that point, you can just kind of grab this and pick it up from the back. And since there's a wire going to the antenna and the speaker back here, I'm going to kind of grab the back housing and the circuit board and flip it over like that. And then turn it so I have a good view of the keypad. Now, what there'll be some oil and dirt on the rubber keypad, and there'll be residue on here. And that's what you want. The isopropyl alcohol, just wet a rag, and then you can clean the circuit board contacts. You don't want to get a lot of rubbing alcohol on here, but if you wet the rag and do this, you can't. You want it nice and clean and dry, and you don't want to have it feel sticky or anything. And if this has a lot of oil on it, just a little, you can clean it off. But if it's really nasty, you can go ahead and run this soap and hot water in the sink. Just make sure it's nice and dry before you put the phone back together. Now, the carbon pills on this wear out, and they don't work that great and after a while. And the size of this pill, you can see here the switch. It has to hit the center of the star pattern and the outer ring, but the pill isn't very big, so it only hits like in the tips of these triangles. Right, so that isn't the greatest design. What this does is replaces these. These do wear out. It replaces the conductor part of the switch, and it's a little bit bigger, so it helps that way too. So this is laser cut to fit right there, and it has some notches for these screws and the microphone here. And once you got that nice and clean, you just pick a corner, and if you have trouble with one corner, you can try a different one, or you could try tweezers or something. Or once you get that off, just do it gently and slow. If you do it too quick, you can just rip it into little pieces, which makes it annoying. But so I've got that, and I just line up on the microphone and just place it down. You don't want to be pushing, like this will stay on. I'm just kind of gently kind of go around like that. If you push down, you can warp the membrane, and that could cause problems because there's a very, very tiny space between the new black conductor and the circuit board. So we want it to be nice and flat. At this point, you might have gotten the display dirty or fingerprints or whatever, so you can clean that. If there's stuff on the screen in here, I like to use a dry Q-tip like that. If you're lucky enough to have canned air around, you can blow it out. You could use a dry Q-tip on the screen too if you need to. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this back around. Okay. Now there's a plastic post for a little tiny hole there, and then the screw hole has to line up with the antenna. Make sure that none of these are like stuck underneath, or you didn't forget to put this back in or whatever. So take a peek. And I just flipped over and looked, and there's this weird white thing here. I don't want that. So I don't know how that snuck in there last second. Okay, so put that back around. Make sure everything looks good. I'm going to start with the two small screws up here near the battery contacts. There we go. Now these charging pins, they have a little metal piece that juts down that goes into a hole in the bottom of the housing, and then a little one that goes through the circuit board, and then of course the bigger one that lines up with the hole. And you can just see here that this one doesn't fit there. If you're trying to put the pin in the plastic hole, it doesn't fit. So you can just try the other one. And then we got these two short screws. You know, when you're tightening it, just make sure it really is in the little holes, the cutout holes for it. And then after that, don't forget the one screw for the antenna. You're going to push the antenna down. And get in there. We don't want to pinch this wire, so I'm pushing that out of the way after I got it started. And then we've got the little headset jack cover. There's a cutout notch for it right there. Yeah, this one's, yeah, there it goes, tucked right in there. Now when we're putting the back on, we just want to make sure we don't pinch this wire. You can tape it back down if you want. I usually don't. I just make sure that I don't, you know, it's not sticking out of the housing like that when you put it back or pinched anywhere. It's pretty easy. Just kind of push it in there and start at the top for the clips. There's one big clip at the top, so just get that in and then make sure that wire's not sticking out, and then you can just click. There we go. And then there's 2 screws in the back. Put the battery back in and you're all done. The membrane keypad repair will solve all the buttons. They'll work better than they did new, and you should never have problems again because it blocks any dirt and oil from getting through again. And that's it. Thanks.